Today we're going to make these 3 different catch-all trays. There are endless designs for these trays, but today we're making this beginner, intermediate, and advanced designs. Catch-all trays are something that is really easy to make on the CNC, and they sell really well too. If this is something that you haven't made, then I highly recommend it. Everything you need to make these trays on your own CNC will be linked in the description below. I'm using this cherry hardwood that I've prepared ahead of time for all 3 of these trays. But you can use any flat, dry hardwood that you have available. I'm starting by attaching the wood to the CNC bed using this double-sided tape. This Surebond carpet tape is my favorite. It holds really well and doesn't leave a residue when you peel it off. The first toolpath is a roughing toolpath with this 3/4 inch diameter bowl and tray bit. It has a 1/4 inch radius on the bottom that will give us a nice round edge at the bottom of the pocket of our tray. The goal of this pocketing toolpath is to remove material as quickly as possible. This is done with a larger step over, but it does leave these ridges behind. So this roughing toolpath went to a depth of 0.45 inches, which is 0.05 less than our total desired depth. That's because we'll come back and clean this up with our next toolpath, which is a finish pocketing toolpath. This is done with the same exact bit as the first toolpath, but there are 2 main differences. The first difference is the depth. This toolpath starts where the other one left off, at the 0.45 inches, and will continue down to our final depth of 0.5. The second difference is the step over. We're going to tighten our step over to 0.08. Remember, in the first toolpath, it was 0.375, so this is quite the difference. This moves the passes closer together, giving us a nice, smooth finish, getting rid of all those ridges and limiting the amount of sanding we need to do. The final toolpath is the profile or contour toolpath that cuts the outside shape of the tray. I'm using a 1/4 inch down bit for this one. Because we're using double-sided tape, there is no need for tabs. Next, I took it over to my workbench and cleaned it up with some 120 grit sandpaper and applied this natural finish from Total Boat. So here it is, a nice, simple catch-all tray with a nice radius on the bottom that bowl and tray bit created. This is nothing special when it comes to design, just a basic tray. But the cool thing about it is it can be made really quickly and is really easy to batch out on the CNC. All right, moving to the next tray, the intermediate tray. We're going to be doing the same exact process as the first one, but in the shape of a pumpkin and adding some engraving just to up the level of design. We're starting with this pumpkin SVG file that I created. This file is available on my website, and I'll leave a link down in the description below if you want to make one yourself. Just like the first tray, we're starting with a pocketing toolpath to rough out our shape and design, and then coming back with another pocketing toolpath with a tighter step over to get this nice clean finish. So the next step, this is where things get a little different. The next toolpath is an engraving toolpath. There are different ways to go about this, but in Vectric, there is a specific engraving toolpath. Engraving is a way to customize anything. We could personalize this tray or any tray with someone's name, with a quote, with a date, or just to add another design feature like we are here. I ran this engraving toolpath again. It really cleans up your engravings, and I do this anytime I'm using a V-bit just to get better results. Now that those lines are carved on the pumpkin, you can see how it just takes it up a notch. All right, the last toolpath is the same as the first tray, and we're using a 1/4 inch downcut bit to cut out the outer profile of this pumpkin. All right, just like the previous one, I took this over to the workbench, cleaned it up with a little sandpaper, and finished it with this food grade finish. I really like how this small little tray came out. It just feels more intentional than the first one. Like it has a purpose. I can picture better what it's going to be used for, meaning I can picture better how to sell it. So this is going to be used in the fall. It can be used for Halloween with the pumpkin themes, but it can also use Thanksgiving. So there's a big window to sell this. And with those engraving details, it just looks like a more quality product. Now, this is smaller than the other tray, but this could be scaled up to any size. I just like the little small candy dish. It can be used as a decoration too. So a lot of options here. All right, so let's move on to the advanced design tray. We're doing something completely different here. I started with an STL file that I purchased off Etsy. I did not make this file, I'm not selling this file, but I will link into the description below where you can purchase this file. STL files are 3D files that are commonly used in 3D printing, but you can machine them as well. I imported the file into Vectric Aspire to set up the toolpaths and adjust the scale. The first toolpath is a 3D roughing toolpath. I did this using a 1/4" ball nose bit. I did make sure that the toolpath was going in the same direction as the wood grain. You'll always get a better, smoother finish going with the grain than you will against it. You can see the first toolpath leaves a less than desirable result with all these ridges, but that's just because of the same reason that we had the ridges in the first one. It's a wider step over to cover area faster and remove material as quick as possible. We came back with a finishing 3D toolpath using a 1/8" tapered ball nose. Combined with a 12% step over, this bit is able to get into all the tight spots and gives it a nice finish. I could have tightened the step over here to below 10% and got an even smoother finish, but I kind of like the look. I took it over to the drill press and cleaned it up with a sanding star. I realized I had a small gap in the turtle's head here, so I filled it with some CA glue and sanded that area again. I applied a spar urethane to this tray because it's going to be in our bathroom, and I wanted to give it a little more protection from water and moisture. So this turtle is my first ever two-sided project. So I did the roughing and finishing pass on the backside first, flipped it over, and then did the roughing and finishing toolpath on the top side. I was a little nervous for everything to line up, but it came out really, really good. Overall, I'm really happy with how all these trays came out. Which one is your favorite? If you want to make any of these yourself, like I said before, everything will be down in the description below, from the bits to the files, to all the information that you need to make these on your own. In the next video, I'll be going over these exact trays and doing a price breakdown of how much it cost to make, how much time it took, and what they could potentially sell for. So don't miss that video. Make sure you subscribe if you're not, and I will see you in that video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.